Play cousin, don't end up in DAC Report trouble. If you plan on being a trucker, then you really need to know what a DAC report is. It comes from a company called Hireright. And if you speak up for yourself and you got a mouth like mine, then you really need to know about DAC reports. Play cousin, what if a company could lie on your driving record and blacklist you from the entire trucking industry? It almost happened to me. There is a company called Hireright, which is like a credit report for truck driver employment records. And a company can decide that they're angry that you resigned and lie about what happened at the end of the relationship. And it almost happened to me. That's why I am on this roof deck talking to you instead of in a truck. I was working for a company where on average 3 times a month I was in mechanics sitting with faulty tires, batteries not working on reefer units, reefers just not turning on for whatever reasons. At least 3 times a month I was in mechanics office. So I went and found a job with a company that actually has a very low turnover rate. However, when my former company got irate and was screaming at me about leaving the company, they also decided that I took too long to agree to return their truck with one of the faulty trailers, and they put an abandonment on my record. Now, I've read stories where truckers have not been able to get jobs for years because of an abandonment being put on their record. And I lost the job that I had because of this. And Hireright has a quote unquote dispute slash investigation process, which really isn't an investigation process. All they do is take a statement from the driver, take a statement from the company, and all the company has to do is say what I said as the company is right. And Hireright will allow it to remain on your record. And the only recourse you have is to write a 100-word rebuttal as to why you say that this thing is incorrect. So in other words, trucking companies have the ability to ruin a truck driver's career simply by lying because they're angry that a trucker is leaving their company. I am Essence Revealed, and I'm documenting this journey from actor to tractor on my way to financial independence and life and location freedom. And I want to take as many women over 40 as I can with me along for this journey. So stay tuned. In my digging around in research, I found a trick that truckers can use in order to find a company that may hire them when some other companies may not because of something bad on their Hireright report. So stay tuned and I'll share that little trick because I think that every new driver should be aware that this is a possibility that they can use if they end up in this spot. If a company has fired a driver because they didn't want to do something illegal and it's being falsely reported on their Hireright report as if they've done something wrong when they hadn't, in that case, a lawyer might be willing to help you because there may be money for them to get in a situation like that. However, I'm finding where it's simply a case of their word against yours, then lawyers aren't so much interested. If on your Hireright report, Hireright has made a mistake and put something like a criminal record or a false failure of a drug test or something like that, then lawyers may be interested in getting involved because there would be money in it for them for that. Otherwise, they're not interested in helping you, lawyers. So I did read stories online where drivers would file a small claims court case against their trucking company in whatever their home state is. And in a lot of those cases, the company wouldn't bother to come show up to fight it because they'd have to show up in the home state of the driver. I'm not really sure how that works, but that was a story that I read about when doing my research, that filing a small claims case against the company in your home state can sometimes work to get something false that's on your Hireright record removed, because the company very seldom will take the expense of coming to your home state to show up for a court date. Unfortunately, a more common story that I read was drivers being completely unable to get jobs in the trucking industry because of what was put on their Hireright report, because it's an insurance issue. If a company is paying for insurance, they can't really afford to insure a driver that has something derogatory on their Hireright report, so they just won't hire the driver. And I read stories of people who said 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, they have not been able to get a driving job because of something false that the company put on their Hireright report. Now, I don't know if in those cases they were always false or not, because I don't know these people. These are just stories that I've read online. But knowing my own experience, I'd say there's a probability that some of those cases were indeed lies that the companies put on. And because the companies know that there's very little recourse, then they can lie and put something false on your Hireright report, and nothing will happen to them, but the driver will be the one harmed. So if you're new in the trucking industry, be aware of that when you're working for a company. You kind of have to, grin and bear it in order to get a year's experience so that you'll be eligible to work for higher tier companies. And the companies that are willing to give newer drivers a chance, they know that this is the case, which is why I think that they're always running that trucker shortage story, because as long as they can keep newer, inexperienced drivers coming into the industry, they can gaslight you into staying at companies that treat you badly, because nobody wants to hire a job hopper, is what people are gaslit and told, when no one is telling companies, treat your drivers well and retain them. They don't want to retain them because then they'd have to actually pay them for their experience and time in the industry. Here's the trick I found. If you are a driver that has at least 2 years of experience and this happens to you, if you go onto the FMSCA website, if you go to safer, SAFER FMSCA.fmsca.dot.gov, and you go into the page that says company snapshot, you choose name, and then you enter a value in the name that has something that's common in trucking companies, like transport or express or trucking. And it'll give you a list of companies. A lot of times these will be smaller companies. And so then you can go through that list and dig in and see how many trucks the company has, how many drivers the company has. And you may be able to dig a little deep and find a smaller company, that would be willing to give you a shot. Another way is to look on Craigslist and look for companies that are hiring drivers. Usually, again, you'll need to have about 2 years of experience in order for a smaller company to be able to afford to insure you as a driver. But that's one little trick I found when digging around online, to see if you could find someone to hire you after you have something negative on your Hireright report. I am a driver that has less than 2 years of experience. And I'd like to give a shout out right now to my friend Will for allowing me to sleep on his couch and live in this lovely building while I try to sort things out. And this is another reason why I stress the importance of having an abundance fund, aka emergency fund. I don't like that name. Because of me having an abundance fund, I was able to try to figure out what to do about this situation in a way that wasn't financially burdensome to me, because I had some savings to live off of in the meantime. It's March, and in my community for Women's History Month, we are doing a no spend challenge as a way to help start an abundance fund or to boost up an abundance fund. I myself will be starting to rebuild my abundance fund. So if you are a woman over 40 and you want to learn more about personal finance and the market, then look for the link in the comments below and come on in and join us, because it really does give you some freedom and some wiggle room and some breathing room to have some money put aside for when life starts lifing. Tell me in the comments if you would like me to do a review of my just about year and a half experience in the trucking industry and what I think. If you want to hear my thoughts on the industry, then put review in the comments so that I know that's something that you're interested in. And do you want to hear about what I ultimately decided to do about trucking? Will I stay in the industry? Was I able to get hired with this thing on my Hireright report? Was I able to dispute it? What do you think happened? Stay tuned, and I will be sharing that information in an upcoming episode. If you are thinking about coming into the trucking industry, then I'll encourage you to watch my trucking playlist. I'll put a link to that in the comments as well. I'm not someone that makes trucking seem like it's this bright, shiny, everyday thing. I have vlogs where I just honestly just document my days, honestly document what has been going on. So make sure you take a look at that link. And whether you're in trucking or not, you need to be managing and learning how to build your finances, especially with what we're dealing with right now in America. But no matter where you are, you probably should learn how to manage your money, how to grow your money. And I have ways of doing that. I'll put links in the description or in the comments I have a free guide where you can learn about the vocabulary, because I know the lingo is a big deterrent to people in learning about the market. If you are a lady, I have a free 14-day challenge where in 5-minute bite-sized snippets, you'll be able to learn about the market and how to start growing your money there.